Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 4, Episode 11, And the Desert Shall Blossom, starring William Demarest and Ben Johnson. So, this was a perfectly acceptable, entertaining episode. I don't think it's a series classic or anything. The plot is a bit out there, and it's kind of a predictable episode too. The twist is kind of predictable, but I did find the plot and the characters and the setting to be entertaining. So we start with Alfred Hitchcock in a cowboy hat, letting us know this will be a Western-themed episode, and it looks pretty good on Alfred. I think he should wear a cowboy hat a little more, just my opinion. So we start with this sheriff, played by Ben Johnson, of course, because, why not? And he goes to talk to these two elderly gentlemen, Ben and Tom. He says there's been a town council meeting, and they're concerned that these two men can't really provide for themselves anymore, and they're not really providing for anyone else either. Like, they're not growing enough, basically, on their property or whatever. But these two older gentlemen say they're not worried about it, and they show the sheriff this rose bush and say give them a month, and this rose bush will be growing again, because it's definitely not looking too good right now. It's pretty wilted. And this will be proof that they are able to provide on their property. So the sheriff seems skeptical of this, that they'll really produce any roses, but it seems like he's going to try and buy him some time and give him the month. So we go to the next scene, and Ben and Tom are ready to have dinner. Rabbit stew, I think, which I can honestly say I've never had, but I know that's kind of a staple of the Old West or whatever. So this car comes by, and there's this man. He seems to be in a crabby mood. He says he's having car trouble, and he wants help getting out of here. He says he has to go to Reno, I believe it is. But Ben and Tom explain we don't have any vehicles, no horses, just a mule. So the gentleman's not happy about this. He offers them money, like $100, I think, for them to help him. But they say, we have no way to get out of here, but we'll give you directions out to the highway or something. So this gentleman doesn't seem to like that. He pulls out a gun, and he says, we're all leaving for Reno now. All three of us, which seems like kind of a strange plan. But this guy doesn't seem to be the smartest Alfred Hitchcock Presents character in the world. On foot, taking two people with you, maybe not the best idea, especially these two elderly gentlemen, but, whatever. So basically this guy knocks out Tom, and Ben explains, you shouldn't have done that because he's the one that knows the directions out of here, not me. So basically this guy has no choice but to let Ben go help Tom, try and revive him, see that he's okay. So it turns out that Ben and Tom have a gun planted in, I think it's Tom's belt. So eventually this plan works, and they shoot this gentleman, who we find out later was wanted and is a killer. So we go to the next scene, and the sheriff comes back. It turns out he comes back with another officer as well. Turns out they've been looking for this car for a while, and it's explained to us at this point that this guy that Tom and Ben killed is basically wanted for everything. Or for at least a lot of things. So the sheriff talks to Ben and Tom about it. He says, where have you been? We were afraid that maybe this guy did something to you. And Ben and Tom act surprised about the whole thing. They act kind of like they don't know anything. They say, yeah, this guy did come by here, but he just seemed kind of like a normal person, and we gave him directions and sent him on his way. Now, of course, the sheriff and the other officer don't believe this. But when they search the cabin very briefly, they don't find the guy there. It was a pretty quick search, but I guess where could they really hide this guy in this small cabin anyway? So the other officer leaves, and the sheriff tells Ben and Tom, following up on the beginning of the episode, you're probably going to have to leave now. The town council's not happy about anything that's going on. But Ben and Tom remind him of the deal about the rose bush, and it turns out that the rose bush is now growing and thriving, and the sheriff says it's a miracle, but when he leaves, we know that Ben and Tom use the body, I guess, for fertilizer, minerals, whatever you want to say, of the man that they killed, the bad man, the killer, whatever you want to say, to grow the rose bush. Now, this twist was pretty easy to see partway through the episode, but the episode is entertaining, and I do like the Western setting. I thought it added a little bit to this episode, and I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. just a solid Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode. Not a classic or anything, but it was fairly well done for what it was, and I enjoyed it. So a 3 out of 5 for And the Desert Shall Blossom. As always, thanks for watching.